Hello and welcome to the Wedding Zone at Photokina 2018. And if there is one impression I had throughout these days, that we have right in front of me here, all the times a very young crowd. Young photographers obviously are very interested in the topic of wedding photography and getting into the business. And for them I have a good news. Hello. Andrew Miller is here. And he is going to talk about how to get it right in wedding photography from the start. So if you are thinking about considering getting into wedding photography, he specifically has insights on how to get into the business. Yep. And how to get it right without going bankrupt after 3 months.
Making money.
Making money.
Making money.
All right, so great topic there. Andrew,
thank you very much. Before I start, can I have a volunteer from the audience? Thank you. Just push the shutter button, it's fine. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. I'm not a photographer that stands still, so you might have to follow me as I walk. I do the same at weddings, which helps keep the interest in me as well. So when I'm trying to do group photographs and I have other people there, they're always looking at me. So a little bit about me. Started photography in the British Army a long time ago. I spent 12 years in the British Army. I left in 2001 and became a management consultant working in telecoms. And around about 2007, those that are old enough, and the audience doesn't look quite old enough, will realise that the bank said, we have no money, we're skint. My turnover for my management consultancy went from £125,000 to £20,000 within 3 months. So I had to do something to pay the mortgage. Now, my business experience has been fine with the management consultancy. I'd always done the photography, so I set the photography business up. I've been doing it since then. It's now 2018, and for 11 years, it has paid my mortgage perfectly. I've been fully booked all the time, and I believe it is because of the business skill set that I have, not purely on the photography. If you get the business stuff right, you will make money. You will make money for much longer. Okay, so that's where I come from. A little bit about me as a general. I'm an ambassador for nPhoto. They produce all of my wedding albums. Just like Damon was on earlier, all of my couples, all of my bookings get a wedding album. I don't do digital packages. If they want me, they get an album as well. So that's really important. I have a degree in training and development, so I'm an adult trainer, or a teacher, if you were. I know how to pass that message along. I've got a master's degree in coaching and mentoring. And again, I do a lot of coaching and mentoring for junior photographers. Come on to that a little bit later. I'm also a business psychologist. I do a lot of work around using psychometric assessments to help people develop their business skills, develop their personality skills, develop their communication skills. Again, it's that business focus that works. And finally, that little bottom one, there we go. The Welsh Government, so I'm English, but I live in Wales. The Welsh Government has a mentoring scheme for junior photographers, people who are just starting. I work on behalf of the Welsh Government to do that. So if you live in Wales, my services are pretty much free. The Welsh Government pays for them, okay? Everybody else has to pay. Some of the work I do involves off-camera flash indoors. It involves off-camera flash outdoors, and it involves natural light. I don't think it's particularly special. My couples do, and that's all I care about. I don't enter competitions. I don't enter awards. As long as my mortgage is paid, I have a full order book, I'm fine. So I'm slightly different when it comes to that. That business skill set is important. So with me, what you see is really what you get at weddings. I like to take selfies with my couples. There's a couple of photos here. Certainly the one on the far right. That's what I'm like at a wedding. I'm bright, bouncy, bold, I'm vibrant. I want couples who look for the same things in a person as me. So I want a personality in a couple. I don't want somebody that's going to stand there. I look after group photographs. One of the biggest things I've found to make profit, to make money, is taking lots of family photographs. They sell wedding albums, they sell prints, because every grandparent will buy one. Every parent wants them in the album. And in my spare time, I also look after a 250-year-old Welsh cottage. That takes a lot of TLC to do. I firmly believe that business skills is what's kept me going in a very, very tough wedding photography market. In the UK, every person who has a camera sets themselves up as a wedding photographer. Every single person. We're coming up to Christmas. I can guarantee in January there'll be 10,000 new websites, 10,000 new Facebook pages saying, I'm a wedding photographer, because they've got a camera for Christmas. The cameras make it really easy, but the business skill set will keep them paying the mortgage. All buying a camera will do will probably mean you'll lose money, and if you're married or engaged or you have a partner, you'll ultimately lose them because you're not bringing enough money in to pay for all of the new camera equipment that Damon talked about. It's not about the equipment, it's about the skill set. So first off, for me, I'll come to why I wear so much hairspray, and it's a business expense for me and my wife. Number one, work out how much it costs to actually shoot a wedding. If I ask you a question here, some of the younger photographers especially, how much does it cost to pick that camera up that you have without taking a photograph? Can anybody tell me? What's the number? How much does it cost just to take that camera out of your camera bag at a wedding? Without making it up. Can anybody, do you know the number? The exact number? That's what I mean when I talk about working out the numbers. You have to pay for the camera, you have to pay for the memory cards, the IT, the software, the batteries. These cameras, I use mirrorless, but if you're using a DSLR, they have a shutter count on them. It's going to run out eventually, so you're going to need backups. All of that has to be paid for in your package and priced in. If you just pick a camera up and start shooting, it will eventually break. And if you don't have the financial skill set to put money away, where does the other money come from the camera? A Canon 5D4 is 3,000 euros, something like that. That's a lot of money to find from a business when you haven't got anything left. Work out the numbers. Don't just put a figure out of midair. If you want to pop down to the nPhoto stand later and have a chat with me, 3.2 I think we're in, I'll go through it in a lot of detail. You can have a spreadsheet from me that will help you work those numbers out. That number will help you price your wedding photography, price your market space. It will make you money. Business cost plus personal costs plus some profit equals a happy face. And my face should be happy all the time. If that face is not happy, you're not paying your mortgage. If you don't pay your mortgage, you're not in business, and you will disappoint clients. So we can't do that. Learn to sell. Another question to the audience, has anybody been on a sales course as a photographer? Any sales training? One over there, we just had a conversation, yes? No sales training. You have to learn to sell. Just because you're a really great photographer doesn't mean you can sell your photography. You have to learn that process on how to sell. There's a whole lot of selling things there. So we've got consultative selling, emotional selling, Miller Hyman, TAS, which is targeted account selling. Any sales process is better than nothing. So a bit of a sample sales process. Prospecting, approach, presentation, trial close, any objections, trial close again, and close. Every conversation I have with clients has that circle involved. And every conversation always comes down to, when I'm first meeting them, looking at my wedding albums, which is why nPhoto is such an important part of my business. They look at the albums online, they look at the albums on YouTube, they look at the albums from wedding fairs, they like what they see, we then agree to meet. I do not take bookings without meeting couples. I want to see the whites of their eyes, I want to see them face to face to get to know them. It might sound strange to some of the gentlemen in the room, but I often tie brides' dresses together. Do you know what a crochet hook is? To tie the buttons together. I carry things in my pockets like hair grips. I have eyelash glue because it makes my life easier on the wedding day. That's that personal connection that I'm looking for. And I want to find clients who like that personal touch. Not just send me an email, I want to book this, fine, and I'll see you in 3 years. If I'm going to spend 16 hours with a couple, I want to get to know them. So that's really important. that sales process. Do your market research. We've got Floricolour over the road. We've got nPhoto in this hall as well. We've got nPhoto downstairs. There are a lot of wedding album companies. Don't just pick the first one. Go for the pricing, go for the packaging, go for the paper types. To me, the most important part is going for the customer service. That's the important part. So when something goes wrong, and it will, something often goes wrong at a wedding, so you do the wedding album, it comes back, it's not perfect, you have days to get it back to keep that client happy. That customer service is the most important. What is your local photographer competition like? So you do your market research on your local competition. You stalk their Facebook pages. Is that what you do? You stalk their websites. If you really want to do market research, you set up fake email accounts. You send emails to them. You want to see what they don't laugh. That's what it is. Large businesses do it, and if we're a business, that's what we should be doing. You find out how they work. So when you are coming up against another wedding photographer, you can sell against them. That's what businesses do. We've had people looking at all of the wedding albums companies in the stands so that we know what they're selling, so that we can sell against them. It's business. The next one, that bottom one, the ideal client profile. To me, that is the perfect thing. I am looking for a set of tick boxes for a client. I want people who like me, who like my sense of humor, my personality, that like me. So things like this, between 25 and 35 years old perhaps, they have a disposable income between 40 and 50,000 pounds. They have a sense of humor. They have children probably under 5 years old. They like somebody that is organized and efficient at planning a wedding for them. So I'm going to ask the ladies another question now. Thank you, you looked at me. How long does it take you to put your makeup on to go out for a night? The gentleman has no idea, which is quite normal at weddings. To put your makeup on, how long does it take?
5 minutes.
So the lady says 5 minutes. At a wedding, it's an average of about an hour per adult female. So you get the bride, she's really excited. First things I ask is, show me your wedding dress, because I like wedding dresses. Second thing, what time's your wedding? 11 o'clock. Cool. How many bridesmaids? 5 bridesmaids. Oh, right. I'm thinking I've got an early start. 5 bridesmaids, plus a bride, plus a mother of the bride. 5, 6, 7, 8 people perhaps. There's a drive to the church, so we need to get there in the wedding dress at 10 o'clock. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We're starting at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the bride's faces do exactly the same as you. What? So that's the kind of planning that I do. And they appreciate those little touches. I know it sounds strange, but getting to know the wedding industry is part of that. That bottom part on my slideshow there, they have a great sense of humor. They don't take themselves too seriously. That's me. At a 16-hour wedding, I am going to spend more time with the bride than the groom does. So if me and the groom don't get on, I'm fine. Me and the bride have to get on. The photograph there is a pre-wedding photograph. I include pre-wedding photographs in all photograph sessions, in all of my packages, because I want to get to know them. It's not an engagement shoot. It's a pre-wedding shoot. We go to their venue if we can. We walk around the venue. We plan where we're going to do the photographs. We plan what they like, what they don't like. We plan which side of the face that the girl likes. We plan how the guy's going to stand. All of that planning. And then we do it again, but we do it indoors. Because it rains a lot in my country. I live in Wales. We expect rain even in summer. So I do a wet weather plan indoors as well. But I'm still taking photographs. But remember that sense of humor. That's the same bride 2 weeks ago, pouring with rain. She didn't care. She was quite happy to drag the wedding dress around her legs and just go out and take some photographs. The story behind the photographs, she came to me, it's raining, we've done photographs inside. Where else can we go? I said, well, there's a local castle. And in Wales, we have 341 castles. So there's always a local castle you can go to. So the 2 bridesmaids, myself, my umbrellas, by the way, piles into my car, drives 15 minutes to the local castle. We turn up. Who's got money to get into the castle? I'm the only one carrying money, so I'm actually paying for my own photographs. But she loves it. So he runs in, takes the photos, and he goes back out. That's a personal connection. I can't get people like that booking by email or by telephone. I have to meet them. One of the other little subliminal messages about my work is that these two ladies have both got fleeces. They are branded, and that's why I turned round to take a photograph, because it's great to see Andrew Miller photography on a fleece being worn by a bridesmaid. It's just a nice touch. So I carry fleeces for bridesmaids. It also gets cold in Wales, and I don't want them to get cold, so I carry fleeces. Going back to the first slide, I price all of that in. So every year I buy 2 fleeces, 1 waterproof, all branded, and they stay in the car. I buy 5 white umbrellas, they stay in the car. It's all priced in. Perfect client, absolutely perfect. The next thing, you sell what you show. So it's about being consistent with your photography. It's about being consistent with the albums that you're going to use. If you're going to do off-camera flash, which I use a lot of, make sure it looks the same all the way through. That's what they're buying. They want the consistency. Be authentic. Be you. The couples are buying your personality, they're buying your sense of humor just as much as they're buying the photographs. You are part of not just the product, but the solution. They want a happy day. You're the solution to giving them the happy day. So that authenticity is really important. Buy several different sample albums. Whether you buy from nPhoto, Floricolor, Graphy Studio, I don't care. But buy several different samples. If you're going to sell albums, and albums will make you money, as Damon said, you have to show them. People like to touch them. All you need to do is spend 10 minutes at one of the stands and see how much people touch their albums. They like the texture, the feel, they like the emotions, but be consistent. There's a very well-known author called Malcolm Gladwell, who does some business psychology, marketing psychology. If you show too much, you won't sell anything. So you have to show 3 to 4 different sample albums, you'll sell. It's the same when you go to Lidl or Aldi or Walmart and you see hundreds of different types of tomato ketchup, you struggle to pick which one you want. When there's only 2 or 3 options, you'll only pick one of them. So keep it simple. Don't go overboard on what you do. Many new photographers jump in and photograph anything that moves. Babies, bumps, maternity, children, funerals, dogs, cats, kangaroos, anything that will make them money. If you're going to specialize in something, specialize. I want to know as a client that I'm picking a specialist photographer in weddings. I occasionally do maternity once my ladies have got bumps and pregnant, but I don't advertise it as a separate product. So price flexibly. Think about how you can sell what you're putting out there. Do you give them an introductory offer? If you book within 2 weeks of seeing me at a wedding fair, perhaps I'll give you a discount. In my case, I like Jaffa cakes. If you don't know what a Jaffa cake is, come down to nPhoto and I'll share my Jaffa cakes with you. Do you sell the albums included in a package like I do, or do you offer them at a discount at the time of booking? So all of that is part of that sales process that you're thinking about doing. You must think about how you do it. Pre-sell your wedding albums. I'm talking about wedding albums all the time. I talk about them on my website. I talk about them in my marketing literature. I talk about them in a leaflet that says how many reasons why not to book me. So this weeds out people who don't like me. So this is, please don't book me if. I talk about them on my Facebook page, my website, all the time. I go to a wedding, I take a photograph, I go down to the bride. That would look really superb, double-page spread. And I see the emotion in their face. That's the emotion that I'm looking for. I take great detail photographs for the same reason. I advertise and I market my wedding albums. Every single piece of social media I can use, I'm talking about wedding albums. Not weddings, not photographs, but wedding albums. I want to see my clients with something hard and tangible in their hand. Not just for the emotions it brings then, but for the emotions it's going to bring in 5 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. Because when people are no longer with us, the only thing that they will have to remember them are their photographs in print. Because I have never yet seen in 11 years a USB on the wall saying wedding photographs. But I still get my wedding couples sharing their wedding album photographs with me. I still get them coming back and saying, I am so glad you took so many people, family photographs, because he or she is no longer with us. It's a social heirloom. So it becomes more than just a wedding album. It's a social piece of history. Make a personal connection. This is a lady who, and I quickly put this in today, I love it when brides show me their wedding albums, their wedding dresses. And they will sort of get on Facebook and, I've got my wedding dress, I'm really excited, but you're the only person I can show. They might show the mum, but they don't want to show any bridesmaids until the day the reveal. So they share it with me. And I think that's a lovely part of that personal connection. The lady who was in that rain photograph, you were the only one I showed a photo to beforehand. The only one. I'm taking photographs of her when she's getting dressed, me, her mum, and her, and that's it. The bridesmaids didn't have a clue. How special is to have that kind of connection, that they trust me that much, that they get excited. But the other thing that's good from a business point of view is that you get excited about their wedding. You become part of their wedding. Not just, I'll turn up, take some photographs, give you a book, walk off. I know that when Bryony eventually gets pregnant, and she was talking about getting pregnant and having babies at the wedding, she's going to come to me for some photos. I've got a client for life just by being involved. I didn't have to do anything except be nice and organised, and hairspray and deodorant and hair grips and all of that kind of thing. Next one. Keep in mind the album when you're working. Shoot really wide, shoot lots of details, shoot landscapes, shoot emotions, because they take pages up in the album. And that's what we want. We want pages in the album. I offer in my collections a fixed number of pages, a fixed number of photographs. I want the upsell. So if I think carefully about what I want and I make sure there's just enough pages and photographs that they're going to come back, because everybody likes to have family groups, I've got an upsell. So I make more money without working at it, without having to sell anything. We found it really hard to choose your 40 photographs. We've got 93. Is that a problem? Nope. It's £2 or £5 a page or whatever it is. I'm quite just, there you go. You choose as many as you want. And they choose the wedding photographs. I don't. That's another one. Other slide. Have a very efficient workflow. Pro image editors will basically do a lot of your editing for you. If you can afford it and you can price it in, it's worthwhile using something like that. I do my own editing. I like to know what the emotion was when I was taking the photograph, so I keep it in-house. You've got to shoot, cull, edit, retouch, and upload as quickly as you can. The quicker you can get those photographs to the client, the more money they will spend, the more that they will share. I put sneaky peeks online the day after the wedding, and I'll do about between 30, 40, 50, 60 on my Facebook page the day after the wedding. I do a same-day slideshow at the wedding, so I'm pretty much editing quickly. But those tags, those likes, those comments, it's brilliant for my Facebook page. The engagement means Facebook thinks I'm really important, but actually I'm not, because everybody's there. But people who are on that page, who see the photographs, who weren't invited to the wedding, who might be engaged, see all of those nice comments about, oh, Andrew had his hairspray out, it was really fab, and he put some hair grips in. And that's the kind of client that I would like, because they see real comments, not just photographs. So their engagement is really important. Think about your perceived value. A wedding album is just part of that package. It gives a perceived value to the work that you do. We've got the emotions, we've got fantastic photographs. The next thing I want is a bride or a groom or a mother to open the page up and they cry. Nicely cry. Not horribly cry, with emotions, because it brings back everything that happened. Have we anybody that's married in the room, the audience? You all single ladies, single guys? I often get told at the end of a wedding, it went so fast. I'm really looking forward to seeing the photographs that you took. They're a story. That's the kind of stuff that we want, because the day goes really fast. Even at 16 hours, it goes really fast. So that's the kind of stuff that we want. There's another slide here. And again, this is off my Facebook page. I talk about weddings, and I've talked about this one. I want to see and hear you look back on the day. I want your kids to look through the album. I want them to talk about the album, the fashions of the day. I've got my mother's 52-year-old wedding album. Black and white photographs. The only difference are the wedding dresses. Guys are in suits, but the wedding dress is like big puffy shoulders, long sleeves. It's huge bouquet. That's the only difference. Black and white photos are black and white photographs. But this lady, Steffi Jo, she came back and said something that resonates with what I've just said, that poignancy. They've got somebody in their family who is no longer with us. Because I took the time to take millions of group photographs, they've got memories of that person. I actually only did 60 groups, which might sound a lot, but if you're organised, it's really quickly to go through it. Albums will increase your perceived client value. I'm actually getting something physical. A wedding album with a box looks so much better than a USB. The size alone says it's worth more. And again, they're not expensive. You can pay fairly low cost for your wedding albums and sell them as much as you want, but work the numbers out. Last one, some designs of wedding albums that I have. I ask the client for their photographs. It's their wedding, not mine. I get some very, very interesting wedding photographs in albums, but they're going to live with it for the rest of their lives, not me. If it means something to them, there's an emotion involved that's special to them. That's what I'm asking them for. And lots of groups on the bottom one, big cathedral type church, big photographs, as Damon said, shoot wide, you get double page spreads. It's nice to hear other professionals talking about the same thing. That's me. If you have any questions, I can quickly answer them now if we have time. 2 minutes, we've got 2 minutes. If not, we can pop down. Any questions? Pardon?
Smartphone and Apple,
What about people with smartphones? Okay, so I've just had a really great question. What about people with smartphones? Can we put the slide on, please, guys? Can I quickly go back? And again, and again. Right. See this? That's me controlling who is going to take the photograph next. So I've got them lined up. And my camera's on the floor in the middle, and I'm going around to these guys, these were ushers, saying, everybody look at him. Everybody look at him. Everybody look at him. My turn. Everybody look at me. Click. Everybody look at him. I play with the crowd. I communicate with them. To me, if you go to a wedding, you want photographs. You don't want a photographer to get away. Join in. Let them take photographs as long as you control it. That communication skill set, that's the business skill set. Great question. And I often take phones off grannies and take them myself because the granny's holding the camera the wrong way around. So just give us, I'll do it for you. It's easier. Yeah. They're going to buy mine, but they want to see it. But that personal connection again of the photographers taking granny's photographs, people talk about that. They love it. Got about a minute left for any other questions?
Do you refuse clients which are not matching your clients?
Oh, really good question. Gentleman at the front has just asked, do I refuse clients who don't match my client profile? Yes. I want to see them face to face. It is not about the money-ish. So I obviously have to pay the mortgage. But if I get a client who I think won't give me the time to do the signature images, doesn't want photographs of all of their family, doesn't want to be organised, is always going to be late. It's going to make my 16-hour day hell. So I say no. I spent 12 years in the military doing jobs that sometimes I didn't want to do. So I'm not doing it again. So yes, you have the conversation, you meet them face to face, you look into the whites of their eyes, just like look into my eyes. Not around, we're into my eyes. I'm really sorry, however, I'm not your photographer, and I will recommend others. I think that is being very honest with clients and very honest as a profession. It is not about the money. It is about making sure that the profession has a good reputation. And if that means turning clients down because they're not yours, they'll be somebody else's. And that's what I do. One more question, promise you, last one, and then I'll shut up.
How did you get your first clients?
How did I get my first client? That's going back a long time. I'm 50 years old, so going back 11 years is very hard. I set up the website, I did some marketing, I worked out my costs, and I went to a wedding fair. I invested in wedding albums, right at the front, invested in wedding albums, went to a wedding fair, and people went along to the wedding album, to the wedding fair, saw the album, and they fell in love. You give a wedding album out with your package? And I'm thinking, what's wrong with that? And nobody else was giving wedding albums out. They were just giving USBs and little cute wooden boxes. Yep, that's how I got my first client, because I gave wedding albums out. I'm going to have to stop it, and the guys there, if you want to pop down to nPhoto in hall 3.2, C55. Hang on, I've got 3.1? 3.1, sorry, I don't know where I'm supposed to be living. It's been a very long week. I'm more than happy to answer your questions, and I've got leaflets and stuff of my marketing to give out as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.